Every person watching this program this evening is responsible to county, state, and federal governments. If you live in a town or city, you're also responsible to your local city government. That's a lot of governing. I'm Dan Ringer, and we'll talk about governments right now on The Law Works.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Closed captioning for The Law Works is made possible by a grant from the Monongalia County Bar Association to support legal information and education for all West Virginians. The Law Works is made possible by major grants from the Office of the West Virginia Attorney General and from Software Systems Incorporated, a West Virginia company established in 1975 which provides high-end support services, programming, and consulting for county government AS400 mid-range computer systems, as well as PC-based systems, and by a grant from the West Virginia Bar Foundation. The West Virginia Bar Foundation, the philanthropic organization for West Virginia's legal profession and justice system, promoting public knowledge of the law in West Virginia.
How do municipal and county governments work together? Or do they? My guests are Mayor Guy Ward of the Marion County town of Whitehall and Michael Romano, a member of the Harrison County Commission. Guy, Mike, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
County and city or municipal governments, you got some of the same people in both of these. How do these things work together?
That's a good question. I'm not sure they always do, Dan. And you know, first of all, I think you got one objection I'd have to your promo is I really don't think people who think they work for the government or they're responsible to the government, I think is incorrect. One thing I believe, and I'm sure Guy does too, is we work for the residents.
We're their servants.
Well, until I get a citation for something that I don't think is right.
Well, you know, if you did anything, we could give you one. But the reality of it is that we really are there, and I know I ran and became a county commissioner in order to try to help my community. And I know that's why Guy does it. You look at all the good things they've done up in Whitehall. You don't do those things for the amount of money Guy gets paid or the amount of money that I get paid. You do them because you want to help your community. And those are the people that you need in government, but government's there to serve people. And you know, I've been around government for 20 some years, but just having served the last 3 or so years on the county commission, I've learned that government's not the problem, it's the people we elect to run it. And you got to have—
Government's not the problem, it's the people in government.
Government serves duties and responsibilities to the people of America that cannot be replaced by the private sector and cannot be replaced by charities, because there's certain things that only government will do. But you got to have good people running government, people that know how to pinch a penny, how to make sure they get the bang for their buck out of every taxpayer dollar and make sure that they're not wasting.
Mike, there are people at home saying, yeah, that sounds really good. That's a politician's answer. But the reason people run for mayor of Whitehall or for the Harrison County Commission or for governor is the power that's associated with these positions, because they can run society the way they want to. And what you're saying is that's not right.
I'm saying that's not the reason to run. Go ahead.
No, that is, I agree with Mike. And I was county commissioner last year. I was appointed.
In Marion County?
Marion County, yes. But the reason I took the appointment was because I wanted to help people, you know, serve the people. And of course now I'm Mayor of Whitehall, and for the same reason I want to serve the people. And I think maybe on smaller governments like county and municipalities, you'll find those type of people. And maybe the people that are serving themselves are on the upper levels of government.
I think it's the same in any endeavor you see. I mean, you see there's bad lawyers, there's bad doctors, there's bad policemen, there's bad in every facet of society. But you have to seek out the people that are really in it to do the good things. And you know, we have some good people, both at the state level and at the county level and at the city level. I mean, there are people that go into it, and I think everybody goes into it with a good reason. Everybody believes that they can do what's right for the majority of the people. And I think that somehow when you get in there, the old saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think when some folks get a little taste of power, that it does tend to corrupt them, even if only slightly. But one thing we've done in Harrison County, and I got 2 great county commissioners who have really allowed me to do a lot of the things I want. We've taken politics out of hiring. We have very strict rules and regulations on how we provide help to economic development or to little things like fairs and festivals. And we've put in policies and procedures that make sure that our county government runs efficiently, that people can't steal money from us, and that people are getting paid a fair wage for a full day's work. And you just have to have people either that can lead others into that direction or have enough of them that have that belief that that's the way government should run. Call it a politician.
How do we identify those people?
One is, I think that you have to ask the citizens to get more informed, and that's a tall order because, you know, folks are trying to.
People need to do their homework.
Yeah, well, and but they're trying to live their lives.
Yeah.
They're trying to
How
make
do
sure
you do your homework? You say some people have to live their lives. That's right. I could go out, and in fact have, because I'm a lawyer, I get to get around town. I know pretty much everybody that runs for office, but still, I don't feel like I have any particular insight into their true motivations, or if somebody's being manipulated by somebody else. I don't have any magical way of defining that. I mean, I vote for you maybe because I like you, and I don't vote for you because I like him.
Most people vote for a candidate because of name recognition, and they recognize the name, and that's how they vote.
Well, in that case, John Wilkes Booth could get arrested, get elected to just about anything. That's not a good way to vote.
No,
for
it is,
somebody.
but that's how most voters vote. They vote by name recognition.
It really is up to the voters. And I mean, that's a hard thing to say, but I also think it's incumbent on our educational system. When you and I went to school, and Guy, when you went to school, civics was a huge class. American history, West Virginia history, huge classes. I mean, there were classes that emulated some of the legal classes that we take in law school. Those are really almost gone. I'm shocked every time I talk to my two children. One's 6 in the first grade, but the other one's in the 5th grade. They know very little about government.
Well, I know you were president of the West Virginia Association for Justice. It was formerly the West Virginia Trial Lawyers Association. I don't know what it was called when you were president. I was president of the West Virginia State Bar, and we yelled for years when civics classes were removed from high schools. We pounded on the table, we sent letters, we made phone calls. I think something called civics now might be back in the curriculum, but I don't know what it looks like. But that's where we learned about government.
There's a push to get it back in.
And it needs to be back in there, because if you don't appreciate your democracy, it's real hard to preserve it. I mean, if people don't appreciate what our founding fathers had in mind when they passed the First Amendment, then when you hear that somebody's able to go out there and stand on a stump and yell about how bad this country is, you don't understand why it's important that they're able to do that. And you know, it is pervasive, not just in children, but all the way through adults. You talk about the Association for Justice. We started a speakers bureau. And, you know, we have, 8 or 9 different topics, but to go and talk to people about the Constitution or about the court system, they have no idea about how they work and why they're so important to not only our democracy, but to our economy and to keeping people safe.
Well, I'm always surprised at one simple question. That is, how many branches of government are there, and what are they? There are 3, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. It's stunning the number of people who do not know that.
That's true.
That was basic history.
It was basic
civics.
Yeah, I think I was in elementary school when I knew that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how you can't know that, I will say this, that we've failed as a country. Maybe there's a plan behind the dumbing down of America. but if we don't have people that understand our democracy, it's real hard to go out and fight for it.
Well, that's why we're here today, is to try to gain some insight into county and municipal governments. Because when I started to think about this, I thought, boy, it is the same people being governed by 2 different groups. You have different responsibilities. Mike, what's the county government responsible for?
Well, the county government, and really they're not overlapping, Dan, as much as you would think. I mean, the federal government passes certain laws that govern the entire country. Of course, they're enforced by the executive, interpreted by the judiciary. State government set up very similarly. As you know, our legislature passes laws, the governor enforces them, and the judiciary interprets them. Our job, I think, as both county and municipal government, is to apply those laws as they apply to our different levels of government. The county government basically controls and oversees everything that the municipalities don't. We don't have very much overlapping authority over the municipalities, although there are broader governing powers such as county EMS, fire, and things, although they control
we
their
use
own.
your services. We
Right.
use a lot of the services that the county provide, like EMS, and of course our volunteer fire departments we use, which is provided to us by the help of the county. Now there is a big difference in their form of government and our form of government. County commission form of government, they're actually, when they hold a meeting, it's actually a court. It is actually a
In
court.
fact, it used to be called the county court.
Right. And they actually do things they do, like, they have probate, you handle probate, and you also taxation. I mean, there's other things that they decide on it's like a court of law. We're a municipality, we have our meetings, but we're not really a court. We're a council, and we need to discuss the things of the town.
The plan.
The plan.
Yeah, if I had to distinguish between the two, the county commission is almost like an executive, legislative, judicial branch wrapped into one body. And the city councils are more operational. They're more of the management of the municipality. We are actually, it amazes me sometimes because there's no legal degree requirement for county commission, but we do make decisions all the time regarding estates. We make decisions all the time regarding what taxes you're supposed to pay. Of course, the assessor assesses them. The assessor bases that on a market value. The tax is paid. But when there's any disagreement, they come to the county commission first, and we actually sit as a first line of appeal.
We're talking about municipal and county governments. My guests are Mayor Guy Ward of the Marion County town of Whitehall and Commissioner Mike Romano of the Harrison County Commission, or Michael Romano. Some
It's actually Romano in Harrison County. We'll go with Romano.
I've only known you for about 35 years. I get it wrong occasionally.
It depends on what geographic location you're sitting in. It really does, Dan.
Okay, so yeah, you really do sit as a judicial body. Probate, when we talk about probate in states, we're talking about interpreting wills, deciding which will, if there's more than one, is the valid will, the real will. And sometimes that slops over into circuit court too. But
they can appeal it if they,
yeah, as an appeal, but you have a lot of power. Municipal, you have a police judge.
That's the only thing we have is municipal court, which handles, like you said, police work. And if there's a fine, they go for the municipal judge. But and the council is a legislative branch, and also an executive branch too, combined. It's kind of like
Sure,
like county
there are
commission.
similarities.
Yeah, because you guys pass ordinances, we
Right.
pass ordinances.
Well, let's talk about that. What kind of ordinances is a county commission allowed to pass?
Well, we can pass any ordinance that does not go beyond the state code in order to govern the county. One that we just undertook recently was, we've made an effort. We recognize that blight, although not like the inner cities, but blight's a problem. And
Talking about economic blight.
no, I'm really talking about residential and aesthetic blight. You allow your house, you abandon your house because you've moved somewhere else, and instead of
The deterioration of
deterioration,
neighborhoods.
collection of garbage and trash and refuse, and what we found is that one of the initiators, one of the things that start our drug and degradation of our neighborhoods is allowing that to occur. And there's various provisions that are in the state code, and we've gone upon those, and we've appointed actually deputy sheriffs to enforce those provisions, because if you're keeping up your house and you mow your grass and you make sure your house is clean, regardless of how much money you have, or whether it's a big fancy house or a small house, if your neighbor's allowing the roof to cave in on his abandoned property because he lives in another neighborhood, eventually you're going to give up. And it's like a disease, it's like a virus. It spreads from the one bad house and spreads throughout the entire neighborhood. Good people want to leave that neighborhood, which gets people in there that don't have the neighborhood's best interest at heart. And what it really does, it kills our neighborhoods. So we've undertaken, and I think municipalities have been doing it for years.
Well, just recently, with the new home rule that came about, Huntington and I believe Wheeling have gotten rid of a lot of their dilapidated buildings and stuff.
Clarksburg's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Clarksburg's done a tremendous job.
But now they're allowed to put liens on property and things like that. And
We do
never,
that.
Okay.
We have that.
Well, okay, Mike represents Harrison County in broad terms. You represent a small town in Marion
Right.
County. Can the county government come in and tell the small town government what they're going to do about neighborhood blight?
No, we cannot.
No, not.
We cannot, and I've been taught very frequently that I have no control over municipalities. I mean,
You're reminded, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been less than reminded. I think it's
Gentle suggestion.
I've also it's become very clear to me that I do not control other elected officials within the county.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah, I know that too.
we control the purse strings, and I mean that's one
Yeah.
way to get things done. But you got to work together, and you got to cooperate, and. If we don't find a balance for everything we do, if somebody comes in and tries to dictate, you're not going to get anything done. That's what's happened in Congress, is one side's trying to dictate to the other, and when they don't get their way, they all seem to want to take their ball and go home.
But now municipalities, they come to you for help, don't they?
On occasion.
Yeah, because when I was on county commission, we had several small towns that couldn't afford, like the bigger cities, and they would come to us for assistance.
You just don't have the tax base in smaller towns to
Right,
be able to afford a first-class fire department, a first-class police department. You'll have one or two town cops, as it were, and a volunteer fire department.
We're a
for
small
example.
town. We're a class 4, and that's the smallest you can get. And we got about 700 residents. But for a small town, we've actually got a big tax base because we're full of businesses, and that's because of that. We have a lot of income for a small town. We probably have a budget between $600,000 and $700,000 a year, which is a lot for a town the size of 700 residents. And we can do a lot. But then you go outside of other parts of Marion County, like Granttown and Reevesville. They have more people in their municipality, but smaller budgets than we do, and they do need assistance. And that's where the county commission will come to the county commission for help.
We generally do not help municipalities with their budgets. We're not there to supplement their budget. Taxpayers are paying taxes to the cities. If they live in them, they're paying county taxes in the form of property taxes. Just so you know, Dan, the vast majority of property taxes go to our state educational system.
Yeah.
County boards of education collect about 73 cents on a dollar for every dollar you pay in property taxes.
But that goes to the state and then comes back to the
No,
county.
no.
So it's directly to the county.
Board of
Goes directly
Education,
to
Board of
the
Education,
okay.
yeah.
And that's a tremendous amount of money. My budget in Harrison County for the county is about 24 million, with about another 10 million in what we call excess levy funds. That means the Board of Education is collecting about 100 million plus for spending on education, and that's a place. And I guess the point I'm trying to get to, and I think Guy kind of agrees, is we've got to look for ways to be more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, part of that is just asking questions and saying, do we need to spend this money? Because one of the things that happens, as you said, politicians, I like to think of myself as an elected official or a public servant, but if you want to use the word politician, one thing that happens to politicians is they forget that that's their money too. They don't see it as their money, and I'm got a couple nicknames they have for me down at Harrison County because I don't like to spend it, but I tell them very upfront. I say, look, I watch this money as if it's mine.
That's good.
And I have my baptism money in my sock. So you're not going to get it unless it's going to create economic development or unless it fills a need that otherwise isn't going to get fulfilled. So we don't give a lot of money to municipalities. When one gets in trouble, we're there.
What we would do in Marion County, we would give these municipalities interest-free loans, and that would help them out.
But what happens if they don't pay it back or
Well,
can't pay it back?
we had a lot that couldn't pay it back, and they're still on the books, but we don't go after them.
So
Well, Mike, the county commission, though, is the group that decides how much money there is to spend. You set the levy rates, don't you?
we do, and we've lowered ours.
Well,
sorry.
except for that 73 cents on the dollar, you don't have any control over.
No, we still set the levy rate. I mean,
Oh, that's
that's
right, yeah,
that's
for
the
the-
levy rate
right,
for everybody.
for the
but-
property tax, yeah.
Right, but we've lowered taxes in Harrison County all 3 years I've been on the commission, have lowered the levy rate. Now, of course, values go up and you still collect more taxes, but, we're very conservative about the money we spend in Harrison County. And I want to get back to
How do you decide how much the levy rate's going to be, how much money is going to be in the pot to divide up?
Well, we try to we look at a realistic budget. We control the budgets of all the county officials. We make sure that they try to spend within reasonable means.
Does the Board of Education come to you and tell you?
No.
And they should. I mean, I think they should. They didn't do that in Marion County either when I was on the commission. We did a budget every year, and we talked, like he said, we talked to each head of each department, the county clerk, the circuit clerk, the sheriff. We brought them all in, and they told us how much they need and everything. We did a budget. We told them how much they would get. It wasn't always what they asked for, but what we could have, could give each department. But the Board of Education never really came to us, and since we set the rates, you would think they would. Of course, they have bonds or levies and things like that, and that's where they
which
get.
have been voted down more and more
Oh
frequently.
yeah.
And, our boards of education, and I know they have a tough job. I mean, you have disparaging socioeconomic realities in every school within every county system, but we're spending about $10,000 to $11,000 a student in West Virginia, and while I think everybody's trying to do the best they can, that's really high up there when compared to other states. But yet our education results aren't quite as good as they should be.
Well, we could debate that, not pro and con necessarily, but what is a factor in a good quality education and how you achieve it for days. I used to teach at West Virginia University in their, what was then called the Education Administration Department. And I felt sometimes like I was chasing my tail, trying to figure out, how should this work? Who should you listen to find out how it works? you can grow old very fast.
Well,
doing that
I can
kind
tell
of
you the
work.
first thing I do. I mean, we got to convince people to quit playing high school football. They're so worried about those fake lines have been drawn on a map 200 and some years ago when they were trying to measure the distance between county seats by how long it took to
You're
ride.
talking figuratively.
I am.
high school
I'm
football.
talking about those fake lines that separate Marion and Harrison County. One of the things we could do in education is start consolidating the administrative aspect of it. There's no reason we have to have 55 boards of education unless you just want to slam your fist down and say, I'm going to have my own board of education. I was telling Guy, we have the West Virginia Regional Airport. It's right across
Right.
the border in Harrison County. And Marion County and Harrison County own it together.
Yeah.
It's one of the great success stories in West Virginia. And somebody from New York who had come down from Montreal, from Bombardier, said it's one of the best hidden secrets in the country. We have 2,200 employees inside the fence at the airport. Out of those 2,200 employees, they come from 22 different counties within West Virginia, from 5 different states, and those are people that are working every day. Harrison County has about 35% of the employee population. Marion's about 24. Taylor County, which is a small county population-wise, has about 17. But that's when you close your eyes and don't worry about something being in Harrison County or Marion County, when you can promote that, when you can make it a success, it benefits everybody in the region.
We're talking about municipal and county governments. My guests are Mayor Guy Ward of the Marion County town of Whitehall and Commissioner Michael Romano of the Harrison County Commission. Well, there's a lot of talk that goes on from time to time among radical theorists about why do we need 55 counties? Why do we have to have government separate between towns and counties? Why do we have to have separate boards of education? Why can't we just administer over larger geographic areas? You know, counties were set up originally because it was about the amount of time it took a guy to ride a horse from one county seat to the next. Some of the bigger counties like Randolph and Pocahontas, probably sparse populations of the counties bigger, it might take 2 days to ride to the county seat. But we had 1850s and 1800s designations on why counties are what they are now. Is it time to rethink all of that?
The bad thing about rethinking all that, sometimes it gets you unelected. I mean, you get voted out.
That's what happens is you're asking people to vote against their own jobs.
Well, and that's true because when you consolidate, you lose jobs. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But consolidation does save money. But at the same time, people have their turfs that they want to protect. And if you take away their territory or the turf, then they get offensive about that. And it's tough. It's an educational thing. You have to educate people.
Well, that's the same issue we have. We were talking about the educational process, same issue we have when we consolidate small schools into one larger school. Then the people who control the hiring and the firing start to lose turf, and it becomes touchy.
We have, I can't remember whether it's 7 or 9, but we have multiple municipalities in Harrison County. Every one of them has a police chief. Every one of them has a town council. We're paying retirement for all those folks. And some of those police chiefs don't even have any police officers underneath of them. They can't even provide 24/7 service to their municipalities. I mean, it's very hard for people to appreciate consolidation. And I agree with the guy. You can do it without anybody losing jobs. You can do it through attrition. You can give every police chief in that county the position of lieutenant in the new police force because, they're all retiring as time goes on. And as you lose those positions, you don't have to fill a new one. So there's ways to accomplish that without disrupting people's lives. The end result is that we'll be spending less tax money, collecting less of your tax money, and we'll have better provided services because, again, there's no reason to have all of those different government bodies within a small county like Harrison County. It should be one government. It really shouldn't even be more than that, but I'm realistic to know, and as Guy said, there's no better way to get unelected. But that brings up a whole nother argument that we shouldn't be there to get reelected.
Right. Yeah, that's
we
true.
should be there to do the right thing.
Right.
But when you go to the 55 counties, Guy, I want to come up to Marion County, and I think I've convinced a couple of your commissioners, I won't name them, but Harrison County and Marion County could be one county.
Yeah.
As long as your seat's not eliminated.
No, I'd give up my seat tomorrow. It wouldn't make a bit of difference to me.
Well, even my situation, we're right next to Pleasant Valley, and it wouldn't be, to me, it wouldn't be a problem merging the two. And I'd give up my seat to make a better community by merging the two.
But you look at an area, since none of us live in Kanawha County, we'll talk about Charleston, you've got all these little municipalities around Charleston.
Right.
And The problem is the people on the other side of the river are cannibals. The people who live on the back side of the mountain are cannibals. They're different from us. We don't want to have anything to do with
And
them. And it's whole populations that won't work
And
together.
it's just silly. And I'll give you a great example. We have 3 small little communities that are right up next to each other in Harrison County. One's got a full-time police force, one's got a part-time police force, one's got no police force or one guy out there. And it's a total area of 4.3 square miles. And I've made the suggestion since I got on the commission, why don't we combine the fire departments and the police departments for these
you can
3
do
communities?
that. You can do that. It's even suggested that we would share a police department with the Pleasant Valley, if nothing else.
You should have a county-wide police department.
Well,
But let's not even
well-
get there. We're talking about 3 communities that are right close to each other. And a guy looked at me and he said, I don't want my police chief coming from so-and-so.
Guys, you have broken my clock. We are out of time.
Oh,
We're going to have to get back together again and talk some more about this. I think there's some really interesting topics here before the 2 of you are lynched in your respective
oh no, I'm
communities.
probably in trouble.
Guy
I want
Ward,
an hour program, guy. Jeez Louise, that great job.
Guy Ward, Mike Romano, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you also for being with us on behalf of the Law Works. I'm Dan Ringer. Good evening.
If you would like to suggest a topic for a future The Law Works show, or if you're a school teacher and would like to receive a DVD of this show for classroom use, send us an email to thelawworks@comcast.net or visit us on Facebook. On the Law Works website at thelawworks.org, you'll find a listing of recent The Law Works programs, additional information about this show's topic, and video of this and recent shows. You can also find the Law Works programs on YouTube and iTunes.
The Law Works is produced in cooperation with the Office of the West Virginia Attorney General, the West Virginia Bar Foundation, the Mountain State Bar, the Monongalia County Bar Association, and the West Virginia University College of Law. The Law Works is made possible by major grants from the Office of the West Virginia Attorney General and from Software Systems Incorporated, a West Virginia company established in 1975 which provides high-end support services, programming, and consulting for county government AS400 mid-range computer systems, as well as PC-based systems, and by a grant from the West Virginia Bar Foundation. The West Virginia Bar Foundation, the philanthropic organization for West Virginia's legal profession and justice system, promoting public knowledge of the law in West Virginia. Additional support for the Law Works is provided by the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.